Skaks.
Skaks, how you going?
Good, man. You know a funny thing. You know how I train a guy near you in the mornings?
Yep.
He actually thinks your name is Skaks.
Really?
Yeah, he does, because he told me the other day, it's just like, oh, I overheard you talking to that guy. What's his name? Skaks?
and my sister, just before I got here, was like, Russia. So what is his name? I was like, it's too complicated. So Dylan was like, you are Russia. It's like, sweet, and it's stuck.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's about, 12 years now.
Fuck, that's a while, huh?
Yeah.
Shit. 12 years? The name sticks.
It's a brand name.
Yeah, it's a brand name. Fuck, what's that movie?
American Gangster.
Yeah. Right.
What was it? Blue Magic.
Blue Magic, and he got busted too. He got too loud.
Pablo.
Yo.
Feel good, happy days.
Not feel good, happy days anymore.
No?
Just happy days. I used to work alongside another Niuean fella named Tungi, and they were the FGBs, the fucking garage boys, and we were the happy days crew. So they were from South, we were from Central, and we were like, fuck, we want to do something positive in our community. So we joined that up, took the B off, so it's just feel good, happy days. And then he moved to Russia. He's got a Russian partner, actually.
Oh, wow.
He's got 2 kids. They've moved back here now, and he works in restorative justice at Unitec with people that have just got out of prison.
Right.
So, yeah, he's been a while in Russia.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe like 2 or 3 years, yeah, like in Niuean and fucking Russia.
That would have been an interesting experience.
Definitely. Yeah. He got pissed on the fucking vodka a few times, and bro, some good rants on, when you're in the middle of nowhere and you don't know anyone, can't speak the language, so he just let it all out on Facebook.
Yeah.
I didn't get screenshots of that, but I wish I did.
So what's Happy Days then?
Happy Days, fuck, we started off as you'd call it street gang, but we were a group of boys that there was no place in society for us. So we created a brotherhood. Most of us broken families. Not all of us broken families, but we found a brotherhood. And then we decided to represent hard for it on the streets, tagging and all the stuff that young men get up to.
When was this? Because, I mean, you guys really look like you've known each other for a while.
Yeah, we started that in 2020, fifth form. That's really showing my age. So
in 2000?
In 2000, yeah. So it's 22 years now.
Wow.
The same group of boys.
2000. How old are you now?
36.
Shit. Time flies, man.
Time does fly. But we still got the same group of friends, and people. I'll still see people on the streets, and they're like, "Do you still hang out with those HD boys?" And it's like, yeah, I'm still HD, and I'll be HD to the day I die because they're my brothers, But they take us back to a time and place where we were little assholes. And we were, but I mean, we were just trying to find our place in this world. Like every other adolescent man, it's like, fuck, what do I do? Macho, I prove myself in this world. I prove myself as a man. And we went through that stage, and it was beautiful to share that journey with those boys. So that's why it's really bona fide. Our connection is a pretty much family now. No more street gang.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you guys have gone through quite a transformation in that sense, an evolution.
Yep.
As like just young dudes that get up to shit as we all do when we're young. But you're grown men doing a lot of positive things in the community. And that is the reason why I wanted to invite you and speak about this as well. Is just because I've seen a lot of good stuff that you do in the community.
Thank you, brother.
So, it's always nice to kind of open it out to people and just let them into that world as well.
Yeah. Just because most people cancel their past and they weren't little street shits or whatever you want to, rat bags, riffraff, whatever you want to label as. They cancel that and they're like, I'm Pablo and I go to work, put my fucking suit and tie on, but it's like, yeah, but that was my past and that's what created color and who I am today. So why would I ignore my past just so I can fit into this box that we should be as, pillars of society or positive members of society? So yeah, it's a great transformation, and I'm very proud of all my brothers and where they've come from and where they're heading, because they're doing amazing shit out there.
How would you describe yourself? Because I'm wondering if how you describe yourself is the same as how I would describe you.
Describe myself. That's always a hard one for us as human beings, because you don't want to make your head too big. I would describe myself as a very sensitive soul that feels a lot of things. So whatever goes on in the world, for some fucked up reason, it affects me. And through all of my life, it has affected me. But I've used alcohol and drugs, especially alcohol, to dumb down my heart and who I am. And it didn't really work for me, because I still feel. The alcohol sort of squashed everything down for a minute, but then, shit, my heart's still there. I still feel this. So I sort of pulled away from the alcohol a bit, because why fucking have a heart and why have feelings if you're not going to feel? So it's just, I'm a person that is open to all aspects of life. If that's an answer, fuck knows.
Well, I mean, it's a very good kind of vivid description of who you are. But in terms of, say, if we were to kind of give you almost an occupation, like what would you call yourself as?
Ooh.
Because I have one. I'm gonna hit you with it, but I want to hear you first.
That's if an occupation.
Yeah.
My occupation would be to just live my fucking life, and that's what. And I talked before just about feeling everything. I just want to help everyone. I want everyone on this earth to win. Like, I'm not going to put anyone down so I can prop myself up. I was like, fuck. How about we all win? How about we change the fucking whole world and be like, no, there's not just one winner. We all win. Everyone in this world wins. Then the world would be a better place to live for all of us. So I guess who I am is someone that just wants to contribute and work alongside people, so then we can see that we're all the same, 2 arms, 2 legs, and we all want to win just as much as everyone else. And there is enough space for all of us to win if we get rid of our egos and trying to be better than anyone else, because you really should only be trying to be better than yourself, eh? And that's, if that says who I am, I think. Fuck knows. That's close enough, eh?
It's good. I mean, if I was to simplify it, I would call you a social activist. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Would you agree with that? Or do you kind of...
I'll agree with this for here now, but I don't like a label.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally understand that, because, like, especially with the kind of work that you do, like you don't want to kind of like make it too formal, because it really isn't. It's far too human to be formal.
Yeah, and I feel if you take a hat, a social activist, that's the hat you always have to wear. Yeah. But as human beings, man, are we changing our hats every day, every situation? It's like, fuck, I want to be this person. This is who I am. This is who I am. So, yeah, a social activist, I'd say, pretty much sums me up in a nutshell.
But one of the hats. Anyway.
One of the hats. One of the hats that I frequently wear. But yeah, I'm just a lover of people in life, really, and I fucking live my life to the fullest.
Nice, man. Nice. That's it's interesting you say that too, because I mean, I found that over the recent little while too. A lot of people do get hung up on labels and hats, so to speak, because in the age of, especially, social media, where marketing has become not just like a business thing, but almost an identity marketing, like you as a person, you have to market yourself in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I think it was on TikTok, I've had a couple of people hit me up about how I've posted something that they thought didn't fit in with my branding, so to speak. I'm like, I wasn't really trying to create any branding. I'm like, I'm who I am. Like, this is one of the things I do. Like, yes, I can have conversations. I can delve deep into topics. I can also be silly. I can also just, I like tattoos. I like cool shit. Like, sometimes I'm going to do that. Sometimes I'm going to show that. But, and somebody was trying to, give me a bit of commentary about how it doesn't fit in within my brand. And I'm just like, I don't have a brand. I just do what makes me feel good.
That's because our human experience is always adapting and always changing. So, and people want to, I guess, have a title. It's like, I'm a CEO and that's my status. And that's, it's like, but you're a human being too. So Who gives a fuck what you are? Who cares what your label is? Because when we sit in front of each other, you could be a bank manager. And does it matter to me here? You're not trying to I'm not trying to get any money off you, so it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're a human, I'm a human. So your status or your job or your marketing or what you're trying to sell doesn't matter in this space because it's just your humanness.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Tell me a little bit about your experience, because I was following that while when you went down to Wellington recently during the protest.
Yep.
And I feel that, out of everyone, because I've seen quite a few people down there. I mean, I didn't go down there myself, but through social media, I saw quite a few people that I knew that went down there and somehow participated. But I think your one was the most insightful to me, it allowed me to see things not just as like, here's a photo, here's a video, here's people, here's graffiti. Like, I actually got to kind of see a bit of the kind of people that were down there. You connected with people, you spoke to people, you shared some of the experiences. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that.
Shit, I'll start you at the beginning of the story. I was going to Rotorua for the weekend.
Okay, that escalated.
And then I was like, got to like Bombay Hills, and I was like, fuck, I should go to Wellington. I was like, fuck, I'm doing it. I'm driving to Wellington. And before I knew it, I was fucking pretty much out the back of Taupo. So there was so much, the media was doing such a piss poor job of delivering a well-rounded story of what was going on in that space. And I was like, fuck, I need to go see this for myself. And I could have just stayed back and filmed and showed little glimpses, but I actually wanted to meet these people and talk to them and understand why they were here, because everyone's got their own individual story. So I went to that space with a very open mind and just to see and feel things for myself. And I connected with so many amazing humans down there. Like if you could recreate that without a protest, I could live in a village like that. That's how good it was. Like there was just fucking love in there. And I understand it was like people like fuck the police and fuck the government. People had their agendas and what they wanted to drive. But behind all the scenes, everyone was encompassed in love, and there was unity in that space. Like everyone had a common goal to get rid of the mandates or whatever they were there for. So yeah, that was an amazing experience, just to go and connect with people and see things for myself without creating judgment from afar of what was going on down there.
It's interesting you say that too, because as far as the presentation of the whole situation went to the public, especially from both the media and both people on the ground, because I found it to be kind of almost like this spectrum of two extremes, where the media would portray all the protesters as, there's a lot of crazy people. Look at these guys, they're talking about like some Jesus stuff over here. These guys, like, there's shit everywhere here. Nobody wants to engage. Everyone's crazy. They're all bad. And then you had the social media aspect. There was a lot of TikToks everywhere where everyone's like, no, everyone's a freedom fighter here. Look at how, how dirty the police is doing everyone, which, I'm not denying. But at the same time, you kind of had these two, polar opposite views of it. And you kind of, I think this is why I got to the point where for a lot of the public that wasn't really kind of willing to delve a bit deeper into it, it lost the message from both ends. Like the whole thing just got really muddled up in their mind, where the whole thing just ended up being this massive shit fight. It ended up being a riot. Yeah.
And so everyone was trying to deliver their own agenda, right? The police, the media were trying to say they're scumbags, and then the cops are fucking assholes. But there's assholes in all of society, no matter where you go. So I guess for that, would have been much better for the media to go in there and actually tell the stories, rather than one-sided view trying to deliver that everyone that was occupying the grounds were fucking crazy. I mean, there were some crazy fuckers there. Like, I was standing in the crowd somewhere, it's like, we're going to burn down Parliament. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm not here for burning down Parliament, but if you want to do that, go ahead, because everyone's a free being and they can do what they want. So there was some proper nutters in that space, like some of them, but I never felt unsafe in that space, even surrounded by people saying that you're like, we're going to burn down Parliament. It's quite funny. It was like, how the fuck are you going to get in there and do that? Yeah,
no, I mean, you get these people everywhere. You get them out on Queen Street, K Road. They're all over the place. It's just they have that view of society in general. So that's what they're going to do. And I also noticed that every protest that we have, just about every protest that we have, there's always someone that tries to attach some sort of a religious undertone to it as well. Yeah, I mean, and we all know that, Brian Tamaki is enough to show everybody how the situation can be hijacked for like, from my opinion, it's still, personal gain. This notoriety, 100%. This, publicity for yourself. I don't see it as something constructive to the situation. I see it as kind of clout chasing in that sense.
It's sort
almost
of a bit sinister, because when I was down there, it was like he was trying to start his own political party that overthrew the government. So he was there like, I'm here freedom fighting, but really I want to start a political party, and once we get them out, I'll jump in and I'll be your leader. I didn't go down there to stand beside him. Like, not at all. But I guess everyone wants to hijack, so then they can get that number one spot. It's like, you're the man.
Well, exactly. Any turmoil, any chaos on the national kind of, on the government level opens up that door. And I mean, we've seen this throughout history.
Yes.
This is nothing new. You look back, this is how anybody came into power through, any kind of overthrows. It always started with some sort of turmoil, chaos, riot, disagreements, revolution. Anywhere you look at that, there was always someone ready to kind of fire that up. And when you storm the palace, somebody has to come out and say, all right, I'm the new guy in charge. I'm the captain now.
And town pull their pants like. But yeah, isn't it crazy how people do that? And most of those people that do that stuff, they sit in the background and like, go and fight, go and sacrifice everything that you own and you've got. And I'll walk in through at the end, like the knight in shining armor, pretending I did, and everything down here. It's crazy. And I guess if you went to that space, and in that space, it was the kaumatua of the Māori people that were down there, they would have meetings every morning. So meetings like, what do we need to do? We need to change this. We need to change this. You need to send the security out to do this. But there was security volunteering from the grounds. So they sort of rolled out each and every day. It's like, today we need to focus on, hold the line was one of the things. Hold the line. So when the cops rolled up, it was hold the line was the call. But hold the line almost, and the hui I went to was almost like a, sweet, we're going to go. But then they're like, why don't we just, peace and love, peace and love, peace and love, and change the narrative of hold the line so it's not an aggressive thing. It's just like, we are here to stand up for ourselves, rather than like, we're not against you, against the police and that. And even on the front line, I seen cops crying behind their face masks. Like, it's like, did you really want to be here? And it's like, fuck, really wanted to go reach out to that cop and be like, man, you're all good. Like, it feels very personal and you're under attack. But this is not against against you as a person. This is against the whole system. And unfortunately, you're the face of the system down here because Auntie Cindy didn't want to come down and chat to the people. So the cops got the brunt of it. So I feel for the police that had to hold the front line and deal with some of that abuse. And I'm not denying that there, fucking wasn't abuse, but there was also a lot of love. But same again, it's like your side versus our side. It's just like the media. Everyone chooses their stance. Police are good people. The occupiers are bad people, but when we take away all that shit, it's like, I'm a human, you're a human.
It's all one big grey area. It's not the black and white that they try to present you with.
Definitely not.
And I mean, from my point of view, I think the thing that frustrated me the most is all of this could have been avoided if someone was willing to engage. If somebody did, like, if there wasn't this whole attempt to minimize it, to say, it's a fringe minority, we're not going to listen to them, we don't want to engage with them, just, get rid of them. Like, listen, there are people on your lawn. Listen.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, look at the Pope. He goes out behind bulletproof glass and delivers a speech, even when his life is being threatened. Why couldn't the leader of our nation, or she send someone down to be like, hey, look, I'm going to fucking front this. I'm going to talk to these people and I'm going to try to explain it. And I mean, maybe they would have got booed or shunned off stage, but at least someone was there speaking and trying to communicate with the both sides, because you always need a mediator in the middle, or someone that's like, I'm going to hear your story. Because if we're all just yelling at each other, who's listening? I'm not listening to anyone yelling at me. it's quite ridiculous how that all played out. And I think not to sledge the government, because the government's done an amazing job, I believe, with all COVID. I mean, I'm unvaxxed, so that was why I went down to have a look. But I wasn't fighting for my freedom, because I'm a fucking free spirit. I'm already free on this earth. You know, like I didn't have to go to that space to fight for my freedom. I lost 3 jobs because I was unvaxxed, and that was my choice. But I made that choice for myself. You know, that's not on the government. Like, I knew what I was up against, but also I made that choice. Like, fuck it, I'm going to sacrifice these jobs so I can honor myself. So that was me making my free choice and retaining my right to be a free being of this earth. And it was very eye-opening this whole time, because now I can go. Is what happens is the first lockdown. Fuck, be kind to everyone. You go for walks, teddy bears in the windows. Everyone was posting fucking videos of their shabby fucking pad thai or their sourdoughs that they've made at home, and there was all this positivity. Take your kids around, see the teddy bears in the window, be kind. And then it went to this end of last year, it went to this dark place. Like, you need to get vaccinated. You need to do this. Then everyone was a health professional. But what I didn't understand is, like, if I did get vaccinated and I was scared, why don't you just say, I'm very scared, Russia, please get vaccinated because I'm worried about my health, and I'm worried about you giving me coronavirus because you're not vaxxed, which was a bullshit narrative within itself, because how the fuck did Omicron get here? Not through an unvaccinated person, because we weren't allowed to travel. You know, I say. So the narrative that was rolled out, I think it was maybe the narrative that was rolled out that made it hard for me to swallow, because it's like, you're lying. Like, you're absolutely, like, if you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, you could always pass on coronavirus. If you wanted to leave Auckland, you had to get a test to say you had no coronavirus in your system. But why weren't the vaccinated people doing the same as well if it was to protect our nation? You know, it's like, it's bullshit. Like, everyone should have got swab tested before they left Auckland, so then we actually protected everyone. Not the unvaccinated people don't get unvaccinated people get a swab test, so then you guys can prove that you are clean. It's like, but none of us are clean.
Yeah, and I think, you're right. I mean, it was this whole narrative where the whole country was treated like children, you know. It's kind of like, but why? Well, because I said so. And any kind of evidence was just, it just didn't add up. Like, everyone was like, well, no, these are experts. But the experts always said, well, you know, there's the off chance, there's some 10%, you're 10% or whatever, however many percent less likely to pass it on if you've got it. I'm like, that's not, like, you know, from a science point of view, that doesn't sound too convincing to me.
Not at all. And that I guess that's the funny part, because the scientists and the doctors, they did an amazing job, but they were learning on the fly. They're coming up against something they've never met before. It's like vaping. So you can't really say vaping's better than cigarettes, because there's no evidence there. There was no evidence around coronavirus whatsoever. So they were just like, oh, this is what this is. But it's like, still now, we don't actually know.
Yeah, well, it's actually an interesting thing you say that. I was reading an article the other day about the whole booster situation, when they're saying that the uptake for boosters has dropped dramatically. Nobody wants to get them. And, you know, again, they kind of wheeled out all these experts and modelers and all these people they're paying a ton of money to, when they really should be paying the nurses. But
yeah.
And they're all coming in, but like, but that's the game changer. That's what it's going to do. It's going to reduce the chances of you catching something by that many percent. And then it still happens. And then they write another article saying the reason why most of the people in hospital are vaccinated, but you shouldn't doubt the effectiveness. I'm like, at which point are we just gonna stop with the bullshit? Like, I think, well, what annoyed me the most about this whole thing is that any time that you didn't agree with that, they kind of labeled everyone as an anti-vaxxer. It's like, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I've got literally every vaccine you can imagine. Like, especially, you know, like growing up in Russia, it's a thing. You get vaccines for everything. You know, polio, hepatitis, everything. You're going to get all the vaccines. But then it's this shit here that just doesn't seem to kind of add up. It doesn't seem to. Well, it doesn't really seem to work. It's this whole like, but you've survived COVID, but if you didn't have it, what would have happened? I'm like, well, you're unvaxxed and you've had COVID recently.
Yep.
I'm double vaxxed and I've had COVID recently. We're both here. I mean, I've had COVID with fucking strep throat, so I felt like shit.
You got a good combo.
I had to double down, and I kind of spent the week just feeling like shit. But yeah, nothing happened. In fact, my family didn't catch it either, which was weird. I'm just like, well, how does that happen? It's meant to be so contagious. I live in the same house, and 2 other people never caught it. So like the whole thing just seems to be based on some loose research, which is kind of cherry picked to reinforce the agenda. It's like, this is what we said. We said you need to be vaccinated, therefore this is the research we're going to quote. You can find other research that suggests otherwise, but these people they're not peer reviewed. They're crazy. Don't listen to them. It's kind of like, well, at which point are we just going to realize that, like, I mean, hey, if you want the choice to get it, but I don't think it should be one of those things that should be forced on people the way it has.
Nah, I definitely don't think it should have been forced upon people. And it would have been a lot easier to take to say, fuck, hey, look, our health system can't handle it. So if we have 20,000 people in hospital, it's going to fuck our hospital system. It's going to stop your grandma and your father and stuff going to hospital for operations. Like, cool, I could sympathize with that a bit better. Because it's like, fuck, I will... I want the hospital beds to be available for the sick people that have maybe cancer and other stuff and procedures that they need. That would have been an easier way for me to. I still wouldn't have listened, but I could understand it a bit better and a bit more transparency around the fact that we didn't know what the fuck this thing was.
I think that's the thing is everyone just sounded too sure of things. Like, this is what's happening, this is what's going on. I'm like, you don't know what the fuck's going on any better than most people do. So instead of kind of just sticking to your guns because you've already said something, just kind of say, hey, look, you've already said it, it's an unprecedented time, so let's roll with it. Let's treat it as such. Roll with the punches. On the first round in March of 2020, we had the best strategy in the world.
Yep,
we've done the best.
Yep.
We actually did so much better compared to other places like the US. Like, I had to evacuate from New York in March of 2020 because it started popping off. I saw the refrigerator containers on the street because they ran out of morgue space.
Oh, so that's hearty, bro.
Yeah, so I'm walking through Brooklyn and I'm like, there's dead people in this container here. So it's like it was a lot worse elsewhere than it was here. But at a certain point, we also kind of just didn't have a holistic approach to the situation. We were just kind of like tunnel vision on vaxxers and cases, case numbers.
Yep.
It was just all stats of vaxxers, stats of cases. And that's all it was about. Everyone became a stat, and I think this is what annoyed people. Nobody wants to be a stat. Everyone wants to be treated like a human being,
yep.
like a life that matters,
But that's the thing that sort of proved that our lives didn't really matter. And our own individual choices were taken away from us. And I feel sorry for all the people that have lost someone due to COVID. I really feel for them because this is real life shit. People are dying. But we did an amazing job to keep fucking Delta and the first wave of coronavirus out. And I applaud Jacinda Ardern for that. But the choice around getting the vaccine against Omicron's like, it's bullshit. I went to my sister's house to catch Omicron. It took me 2 weeks of being in a house, like sharing drinks with my family. Like, fuck, I want to get it out of the way so I can get back to normal life. And it took me 2 weeks to get it. I was the only unvaccinated person in that house. But we're saying this is the most fucking contagious thing ever. I should have had it the first day I showed up to that place. But it's like, this is fucking insane. Like, my family, I didn't catch it for fucking ages, and I tried my hardest because I wanted to get it out of the way.
Interesting. I didn't know you did that.
But these are all the little bits and pieces that, no one really, the stories that don't get shared. And I guess there's many other stories around this coronavirus stuff that don't get shared. And I guess this is a time for everyone to sort of start to speak up about their experience with the virus. And I understand that there was millions of conspiracy theories out there. Fuck. And even my friend's parents said to me, keep in good contact with them, was like, I hope you're not buying into that conspiracy theorist shit. And I was like, why? Because I'm not getting vaxxed. It's like that. I don't fucking read that shit. I don't care, because that was even more confusing. It's like, fuck, it says head fuck, too much information. It's like they're gonna try fucking hijack your body and tell your body what to do. It's like, oh man, I don't really fucking believe in that shit. That wasn't something I bought into, around the control of the masses. And it's like, maybe it is. Maybe New Zealand just proved to the rest of the world, it's like, fuck, they're guinea pigs. They're sheep. They are actually sheep in New Zealand, because 95% of them fucking towed the line and fucking went and got their vax as we told them. But the 95% is bullshit too. I know so many people that paid someone else to get their thing done, and they still went to work. You know, like stories of this is happening. So 95, is it really true? You know, the stats don't really fucking make sense. It doesn't matter. Everyone can lie, including the government.
I think that's what annoyed a lot of people too, is the whole thing kind of became this experiment in mass management of people, of, you know, how to make the masses do something. You know, I don't think we've really had anything of that sort from memory, where we're kind of like, okay, you know, the normal life that you live, we're going to radically change it, and we're going to do it to all of you, and you're gonna have to do it voluntarily too. It's not just gonna be like, oh well, we're just shutting this down. We're gonna tell you what to do, and you're gonna do it. You know, so like in that sense, I think this is why a lot of these conspiracy theories kind of sprouted up as well. Because I mean, you know, you can't help but feel that way. You can't help but feel that somebody's just trying to take control of you know this. What was already a major rat race, you know?
Yeah, it's fucking insane, the approach that was taken, and I guess that's the best word that they thought they could get us all to obey. But there's always going to be a part of society that doesn't agree. And it doesn't agree maybe on medical terms, maybe on conspiracy theories, or maybe on past events that have happened within Aotearoa, why they don't trust the government. You know, it's like, fuck, but how can you trust the government when they fucked you over for fucking nearly 200 years?
Yeah. And well, not just Aotearoa, but like worldwide, really. If you look at the, you know, human history, there's been many instances where such things have happened, and I think what really gets to people is you realize that nobody's accountable for it. Nobody's get like, you know, you can stand there, stomp your feet about how, you know, like, well, what's my guarantee, right? Like, for example, take the vaccine, right? Like, what's my guarantee? If something happens to me, who's going to be held responsible? No one. You realize that. Like, you're not going to sue anyone. You're not, you know, even if you do, you're probably not going to win. Like, you're suing a fucking behemoth organization. You're never going to win.
Especially how much money you got to spend on lawyers' fees, because the government's got unlimited funds to defend themselves, because that's our money as taxpayers. They're like, I'm going to defend myself until, oh, look, I've quit. Oh, I'm over now, so they must shut down. Someone else is in charge. Go with them. And that's the most fucked up thing about this whole thing. It was a fucking crazy time to be alive. At the beginning of August, I got out of school camp. I think it was on the 17th. And it was like, we're going into lockdown. It was the last day of school camp. I went with my niece. And I was like, fuck, we're going into lockdown. This is going to be a big one. I went home and packed my car. And I went out to the bush for 3 weeks. To the middle of the bush. I had rice, a tin of coconut cream, and a pot of honey. And I just fucking spent 3 weeks in the bush. Because I didn't want to go to the shop.
You made that last for 3 weeks?
Nah, I waited for 2 weeks because I was like, to make sure I'm clean, I don't have anything, I won't infect this community. So for 2 weeks, survived off that.
You know, like what, one can of...
One can of coconut. So coconut cream would go on the rice sometimes, or just have a teaspoon of honey.
But you had the one can for the 3 weeks.
For the 2 weeks until after 2 weeks, the 14-day sort of isolation period that I gave myself, then I could go to the shop and get treats.
Right. Fucking hell, okay.
But that was epic. That was like, you know, that was an amazing experience.
It would have been. It would have been one hell of an experience.
Fuck all. Like, what do you mean I need? It's like, and that really reinforced, like, fuck, I don't need the jobs that you're going to take off me. You know, like, I'll go to the bush with a fucking thing of rice and some coconut cream and some honey. I mean, I would have loved some other stuff, but if that's all you got, you eat your own fucking hand off if you had nothing, you know? And that was sweet. I remember smoking some nights. I'm like, fuck, I've got no munchies. I feel like something sweet. And just like getting a teaspoon of honey and sort of just like a little bit at a time, you know, on my rations of like my munchies.
Yeah.
And that was, like, I loved it. But the thing is, when you don't have anything, that one teaspoon of honey is the best thing you've ever had in your fucking life, you know? You really enjoyed it. So that was fucking epic. And that, yeah, I came back to Auckland because one of my friends got really, well, how do we say it? Well, he fucking, being in lockdown fucked with his head so much that he didn't want to be here anymore. And that's the other side of all these lockdowns, that it's affecting people. You know, it's like, fuck, my bro tried to take his life. And that's a hard one to, you know, you're not allowed to go anywhere, you're not allowed to go see him because you might give him coronavirus, got to stay at home. But it's like, that's my fucking brother. And if he's not here tomorrow and I didn't go to his house and fucking give him a hug and tell him I loved him, then what kind of human am I? I have to carry that with me for the rest of my life. So it's like these rules and the stuff didn't really encompass us as human beings and our hearts and our feelings, and all that got shut out. And that was a hard one to sort of, I was like, nah, fuck these rules. Like, can I not go see my family because I could have coronavirus? Or, you know, like, fuck that.
Yeah, and I mean, that's, from my point of view, that's what I mean when I say, you know, a holistic approach. It's like, okay, cool, yeah, we've got this tunnel vision of protecting everyone from the virus, but it really isn't the biggest problem we could have. You know, like that situation you're talking about, like, unfortunately, it is by far not a unique situation for, you know, for those lockdowns. Yeah. When it really got to people's heads, what it's done to people's mental health, what it's done to their quality of living, you know, like, for example, yeah, people lost their jobs, you know. I mean, it's, you know, some of us obviously can afford to be in these situations. We can handle that. We don't necessarily maybe have certain commitments and whatnot, you know, but like, think of somebody that has a family, you know, like, if their whole family is dependent on the fact that, you know, they have those jobs, and then they lose them because of that, well, you know, well, what do you do? And I mean, it may not even necessarily be because of vaccines. It may just be that the business went out of business, and a lot of businesses have shut down over that time.
Yeah, and that's the bit that fucks me off, because then what the fuck, at level 3 McDonald's is allowed to open? So what, you're telling me to fucking put this thing in that's going to save my life, but I can still fucking sell you poison? McDonald's queues were fucking huge, and it fucked me off. And it's like, every other company in this world, if I owned a fucking, say, a burger joint or something like that myself, and my rubbish got found around the city, fuck, they would come for my ass. But McDonald's can fucking, there's McDonald's rubbish fucking everywhere. Why aren't we going to them and be like, go fucking clean up your shit? Nah, because they're a big corporation that runs the world, so we can't really tell them what to do. They tell us. It's like, fucking, everyone sort of bows down, and that's like, why weren't we talking about health during this?
You know, it's actually interesting too, like, speaking of, you know, junk food and that, I found it interesting that there was, at one point, there was this vaccine drive out in South Auckland.
Yeah, don't get me started on this shit, bro.
And KFC.
Yep.
So, you know, we giving jabs in KFC together. I'm like, that there, I think it just sends so many messages at once. Not only the fact that you're kind of trying to bribe people into it, not only that you're doing it with, you know, unhealthy things, and you're also doing it in an area where, you know, we could really get into the demographics of that area versus what you get versus what you're giving them.
Just like, I mean, we'll go South Auckland with KFC, we'll go Ponsonby with Prego vouchers, we'll fucking cater to everyone's needs. It's like, but the fucking McDonald's and shit out there is killing our people out there. It's like, fuck, we've got an obese nation, and we didn't, as you know, speaking from a PI's perspective, it's like, we weren't big people before all the shit food came along.
And it's interesting too, because, you know, like, there was a lot of talk about the Maori and Pacific communities, you know, like they love to talk about it, you know, the whole health approach for the community. And at the same time, that's what they were doing. So it's like, oh, well, we need to get the Maori and Pacific community vaccinated because we feel that, you know, they're the at-risk population. And you kind of ask yourself, like, well, fuck, I wonder why. You're giving people, like, this was specifically targeted for those communities.
Yeah.
You're giving them fucking KFC, and then you wonder why, you have those communities with a health risk.
It's fucking insane. And this is the bit that disgusts me the most, is like, why would you give them stuff that is slowly killing them? Because it won't kill you on the spot, McDonald's, and all that fast food, but it's fucking addictive. So it's slowly going to kill you, and we can't blame McDonald's in the end of the day, because it was a heart attack, and that could have happened from the mince and cheese pie you ate. Yeah. But it's like all the food they should have been driving fucking good health. They should have been talking about that, and it's like, we'll worry about the Māori and PI communities now, shall we? Yeah, we'll get them all vaxxed and we'll do something for them. What about fucking worrying about the Māori and PI communities every other day of the year? Why is there more McDonald's and fucking KFCs out there than anywhere else in New Zealand? Why are there more alcohol shops out there than anywhere else in New Zealand? Because it's fucking profitable. And they only give a fuck about getting tax, so then they can buy another fucking thing or buy some more vaccines for the people. Man, like, this is fucked. Like, you're preying on the vulnerable people by putting all that stuff out there. There should be a cap on fucking McDonald's and fucking alcohol shops out there. So if you have to travel fucking, I know, I've been a drinker. I'll fucking go 20 Ks, 30 Ks to get me a fucking box of beer if I had to. Don't make it easier for them to poison their bodies. So fuck it. They act like they care, but they really fucking don't, and it really grinds my gears because those people are the most vulnerable. Those people, you don't really hear about their stories, because someone dies out there, it's like, oh, they're gone. Someone dies in town with a bit of status or some clout, CEO becomes like, blah, blah, blah's died from here. It's like, oh my God, there's another newspaper article. What about the families that have fucking lost their father out there, or their mother, or their auntie, or their cousin? You don't hear any stories about them. It's fucking, this is why the world is backwards. And I guess if we go back to Wellington, it wasn't all about the vaccines down there. People were going, I met a man that he got let down by the mental health system. So he was going there against the system.
There was a man there, I believe, the video was circulating around of him being punched. No?
Yeah, that was a different man, this one.
Another one, okay.
So it's like everyone had their stories and their reason for standing up and trying to fight. And some of them are there to say, like, fuck you, New Zealand government. You let me down 40 years ago, and I'm standing up here now. And the buzzy thing about that whole thing is everyone had their own sort of reason or their why to be in that space. But when it, like the coronavirus came, it was like a catalyst that brought everyone together. It's like, fuck, I can stand up now. I can say something. I can be heard. I can tell the government from outside here how disappointed I am about what a shit job they're doing of looking after everyone in Aotearoa. And I guess it happens, like you said before, it happens all around the world. The marginalised community, no one gives a fuck about them. Half of those people down in Wellington would have never showed up to the protest if it didn't affect them. And we have things going on, like over in Putiki with the marina going in. No one gives a fuck because it doesn't affect me. But as soon as it affects them, everyone gives a fuck. But if we could all just care a little bit more, or listen to other people's stories, maybe we would show up for one another and actually hear them. And then we can formulate opinion like, those people are fucking crazy. Then cool, go experience it. Rather than the media portraying a picture or painting something and be like, and everyone's like, yeah, they're fucking crazies, don't talk to them.
Bloody idiots.
Yes.
Go get a job.
Get a job. And this is another thing, go get a job. I'm in Parnell. I was in Parnell. I spent 2 weeks before Christmas. They're trying to cut back a 200-year-old putakawa tree. So I was there, and the security guards were all there. And it's like, fuck, this is buzzy. So they manned this fence. So they built this fence with security guards, 6 security guards, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, would stay inside this cage. But I ended up talking to these boys, like, what are you doing here? It's like, we were told that we're here to protect the tree. So the boss is telling them a different story. But then some of the people of Parnell's like, fucking get a real job, you useless cunts. And it's like, hold up. If they didn't have a job, you'd be saying, get a job, you useless cunts. And now they've got a job, it's like, get a real job, you useless cunts. Like, how can you win?
Yeah, what is a real job?
Exactly. It's like, who do you think's going to fucking go do security? Who cleans the toilet? That's a real job because you don't want to fucking do it yourself. And this is the whole bullshit. Is everyone looks down at one another. It's like, fuck, if we just look eye to eye and be like, fuck, I'm a human and I've got to clean toilets for a living because you don't want to fucking clean the toilets yourself. And this is a fucking real job. Unless you want to do it yourself and take my job away, and I'll go find another real job. The society's still built, and although it's changed over the years, but it's all status. Where do you fit into the society? Where is your clout? Where is your, like, show me your status. Like, I'm Russia, I'm a CEO. It's like, fuck, you're up here. It's like, you sweep the streets, you're down there. It's like, but the streets, you need the street sweeper as much as the CEO, because otherwise the streets are there and everyone's like, fuck, New Zealand's a disgusting place to live. So everyone's job within this country, no matter what it is just as important as one another. Even fucking Jacinda Ardern's job. The fucking street sweeper is just as important as her, because we want to live in a place that looks and feels nice. And someone's got to do that fucking job because we don't do it ourselves.
You're exactly right. And I think, when you talk about it, it kind of brings back a bit of experiences like growing up in Russia, because I think it's a lot more expressed over there. The whole status thing, and the whole like, I'm a different breed because I'm a businessman. Like, you ain't shit because you're sweeping the streets, right? And they keep pushing these people, and then they started underfunding them, and eventually they got rid of them altogether. So now, you're looking at, there's still technically a couple there, but there's not enough to actually make a difference. The streets look like shit. Let's just put it that way, right?
Shit.
So it's kind of like, well, you're the man. You've got all the status. You got a fancy car. You dress nice, but look at where you live. I just never understood this whole, like, I want to be the king in a pile of trash, because no one's going to clean that pile of trash, because you ain't going to do it because you're the king, right?
You can't pick up a piece of rubbish.
But at the same time, this is where you live now. So, how does it feel? So you're the man, but you're living in shit. It's kind of like, brings to memory the movie about Tookie Williams.
Yep.
Right. It's just like, I'm the king of Crips, and this is my kingdom. Do you want to be here? This is a fucking prison. Like, there is nothing good here. Do you want to be the king of that? That.
Yeah.
It seems a bit counterintuitive that, people are just chasing that so hard that, even when you get there. So what happens now? Are you happy? Is your environment nice? Are you surrounded by love and happiness now that you're here?
And that's the sort of saddest part. And I guess if the CEO talked to the street sweeper, fuck, the street sweeper's probably got better stories, because the street sweeper fucking went out and saw something interesting in their day. The CEO sat at his desk and barked out orders. What's your story from your day? Is you made another $1 million? Is that the depth of your story? I'd much rather go sit with a fucking homeless on the side of the street and hear their story of what they saw in their day than fucking some person that sits at a fucking office desk and earned $2 million. It's like, wow, can I spend that $2 million? No, I can't. Doesn't fucking mean anything to me then. That doesn't add any value to my life. I don't learn anything from you getting your $2 million unless you teach me and share your gifts. But you don't want to do that, because then someone might knock you off your pedestal, and then you won't be the $2 million man that sits up the top.
It's not good enough to do good. It's, you have to do better than everyone else.
Yes.
It's not that like, I'm good. It's that someone's beneath me, so I feel better because someone's beneath me. I got a question to ask you, because this is something that I touched on in my previous episode with Richie Hardcore, and I actually had couple of interesting conversations over a reel that I posted on Instagram, and I just kind of asked people for their opinions, so we talked, like, the reel was to do with, just having a more fair, just society where people can afford to live, people, have access to things. We don't have this disparity. We don't have, the haves and the have-nots as much, right? And I've had some interesting commentary about how, like, the whole system is based on consumerism, which is essentially targeted at the have-nots. It's the haves that are producing these things, and they want the have-nots to consume more of it, so you make the profit and these guys get more poor. Really?
Yep.
Really? Like, it's almost, to make it a bit more simpler to understand, it's the drug user and a drug dealer mentality. So in that sense, what is your idea around how we as a society could make it more more equal. Because see, I feel I have an opinion on this as well, and I feel that mine is very radical and is not going to sit very well with a lot of people.
Go and overthrow the fucking throne.
It's not just necessarily overthrowing the throne, but like I suppose it can be viewed as a pretty cynical kind of way to look at things, but I just don't believe that we are ever going to be able to just agree. It's going to be a painful process to agreement, but we'll get to that later. I want to hear what you think about that.
For the first instance, for all of this shit, if everyone sat down, if the fucking CEO sat down with the homeless man and heard their story, the CEO would understand then. Because we have this disparity, and the CEO only understands his world. Because that's, what he's lived in, unless he's come from poverty. So then he knows the other side. But then you have John Key, who's come from poverty, turns into the CEO and turns into an asshole. But if everyone sat down and heard each other's stories, we could communicate about the hardships I face or the hardships that the homeless man faces, then we could make it a bit more, understanding and compassionate, so then everyone actually understood how the other side live. Because if I live in a house on top of the hill and never go talk to anyone that lives down the bottom of the hill, how the fuck do I know that they go without? All I say is, get a fucking proper job, you useless cunts, And I'm a critical thinker about this stuff, and I've taken an approach to consumerism and capitalism. It's like, I'm taking my power back. I'm not fucking buying that shit. I need clothes. Like, fuck, I got no shoes on. I collected shoes for over nearly 20 years, and now it's like, why do I need shoes to fit in? So I don't support McDonald's. I try not to support the supermarkets. I'll go to the local butcher. I'll go to the local veggie shop, at least because I know when I'm handing my money over to whoever's working at the bloody place, it's like, this is going to feed your family. This is not going some multinational fucking company that just keeps on creating more and more money, creating helping the gap get bigger and bigger. Probably was an answer to your question, but yeah, if everyone just understood each other a little bit more, because we don't have any understanding of, I don't understand how you live each and every day. I don't understand how the homeless man lives. I don't understand how the CEO lives. But if I could have a better view how everyone lived, then I was like, oh, fuck, I might have more compassion to help the homeless man. It's just like, fuck, you go through hardships every day. My hardships might be that, fuck, I've got to get my 3 kids to rugby, soccer, and cricket on a Saturday morning. And I find that hard. And it's like, fuck, okay, that's hard for you. And that's okay, because that is hard in your world. But when you're looking at the other side, it's like, fuck, on Saturday morning, I've got to go out there and I've got to try get some money for my 3 kids to get food because they're starving. And it's like, oh, shit. And then everyone's like, oh, the fucking CEO's family is like, fuck, that's not even a real problem. That's a problem to that man. How dare you take something away from him that he finds hard? It's like, fuck, if we could all understand that. And that's for us, well, I'll just talk about me down the bottom. It's like, and then I can understand that. Then I can also say, like, yeah, fuck, that might be hard for you. But if you heard my story, then he might rethink that or she might rethink that. Sorry, always going on the men. She might rethink that and say, well, oh yeah, true, this isn't actually that hard and I've got it pretty well. And maybe I should start to give back a bit more and start to communicate with more people, so then I can see my problems in this world aren't as big as they may seem to me, because everyone lives inside their own world of their own reality. But if we get outside of our own reality, then we may understand everyone else's a bit better. And hopefully by that understanding, through a little bit of love and compassion, then it would equal out. But I mean, no one's going to give up the throne.
Well, see, that was kind of like the next point I wanted to bring up is, I can understand that you're kind of aiming at a more sympathetic society where we're all we understand each other's problems, and therefore we make an effort to make each other's lives easier, not just our own. But this is where my view is slightly different on, nobody wants to give up the throne. How do you get through to the people that, those people that are doing that much better than everyone else? And it's not enough to just do good. It needs to be better than. And this is where my view is quite cynical on that, because I don't believe we're gonna get through without without some brutality, unfortunately. I don't encourage this stuff. I think a lot of people misunderstand that and see my views as I just want the world to burn. I just want war, chaos, and everything. I'm just one of those people. But reality is, I don't. I would love to kind of get to the end goal without having to do all that. But the way some of these people at the top position themselves is, you just don't see an alternative. Like, because you're here willing to fight to keep that spot, and unfortunately, it leaves no option but to fight you.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If you don't have as strong as drive to fight when you've got a full belly. So the people down the bottom are going to fucking come, and they're going to come hard because they're fucking starving. And they're going to kick down your fucking front door because they need food to survive. And that's the thing. The people up top's like, fuck, I've got to pay someone to protect me because I'm already full. I don't really want to fight that hard. But as I think about all of this shit,
somebody's going to take that money, though. Somebody's going to fight. Somebody's going to sell.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we already see that around because we're selling the natural world.
Yeah.
It's like, but the best thing about all of this was, I do think about it a lot, is whether you believe in global warming or not, that's on you. I couldn't give a fuck. But the world is actually fucked. The world is fucking dying. So when the world starts to crash and the people down the bottom know how to survive, because we've had nothing, we've had an empty stomach, so it's like, fuck, what do? We go to survival instincts. The people up the top don't know how to survive because they've always just paid. But if everything sort of runs out and the world fucks out, the people up the top have to come to the people down the bottom. It's like, fuck, teach me how to survive. Teach me, please. And the thing about all of this, the people down the bottom were like, I will teach you. Because
will they? I feel like there's going to be a bit of a separation. There'll be people like you. There'll be people who will teach, and then there'll be angry people there.
Yep,
and they will eat them. Yeah, and when I say that, I don't mean figuratively. I mean literally, because again, I'm drawing on the experience of my country's history, where cannibalism was a legit thing at a certain point, not because it was part of the culture, but because it was out of necessity, because there was no food around. Yeah. And, you look back on prior to Russia becoming Soviet Union and having that revolution where we kind of overthrew the kings and queens and all that, basically the royal family. This is kind of what it came to, and nothing good came of that, because we've kind of fucked ourselves for the next 100 years. We had the Soviet Union, now we've got what we've got now, which isn't really any better. You can see that in the news, so nothing good came of that, but it's nonetheless a very painful process. A lot of people died over that time.
Heaps of people, yeah, and heaps of people will die. But I guess that just goes back to, if you understand what an empty stomach feels like, you don't want another human being to go through the same thing as you went through. And some people will be like, nah, fuck you, you've had it all, and you can go without. But there's some people's like, I know what hunger feels like, and I don't want anyone to go through what I went through. And maybe that's just me trying to be an optimist, be like, fuck, we're all going to help each other in the end, and we're all going to come back together. But I've got to hold hope for a new world and a new way of being, where everyone encompasses one another and respects and treats each other with love. Because at the bottom line, it's like, we can go to war, we can fight, all the other emotions, but love is what will heal all of this shit. As if we had love and compassion for one another, we'd be fucking sweet. I believe. And maybe it's not, and maybe I'm just fucking got my head up in the clouds, and it's like, nah, man, these people are still going to fuck each other over. And it totally could be. But the other option is like, just like the dinosaurs. Maybe we all need to fucking, and sorry to my family and the kids, but maybe we all need to be extinct, and the next generation that comes through does a fucking better job than we did.
I think, I think you're right in terms of that. I think, this is what I think about when people talk about, global warming and nature and Earth. I think, Earth, it started off as a rock of molten chaos and fire, right?
Yeah.
Before there was any life. And this is what I think about when this happens, is at a certain point, like Earth is going to be just fine, no matter how much we fuck with
Mother
it.
Nature will fucking
it'll recover. And I mean, ultimately, without getting too deep into things, like, the sun is going to expand. It's going to consume Earth. Earth has an end.
Yep.
From a scientific point of view, Earth will eventually die, no matter what we do to it. But in terms of in terms of the human existence in that sense, the nature will recover.
Yeah, nature will always.
Even
you leave your fucking backyard, you leave a lawnmower in your backyard, you don't mow your lawns, the fucking grass wins. The grass eats the lawnmower. In the end, it's like, oh shit, where's the lawnmower? It's underneath the grass. Nature wins. Nature will always win. Nature will always heal itself, and that's why I guess like all the shit that's going on over in Putiki and all that shit. It's like, fuck, you destroy it now, and maybe it's around for 50 years. But there's going to be fucking something happens, a big wave that comes through, it fucks all that shit up. And was it all worth it? Just collect your insurance and move on and buy a berth at another marina. It's like, why the fuck do we put the marina in there in the first place? It's like, listen to the people. I guess that's goes back to fucking the occupation in Wellington. It's like, if you just listen to the people, because that's what the government's job is, to serve the people and make sure everyone is okay. And we've got Labour in at the moment. It's like, it's like we're here for the poor. We want everyone to be okay. But it's like, but you don't listen to the poor. You don't. Yeah, you give the poor money, but where's the education around food and what they're doing to themselves? There's no education around that. There's no education around health. They put the ambulance down the bottom of the hill, which is the hospital, and it's like, we'll just fucking pick you up off the ground when you fall. It's like, but what about teaching at the top of the cliff so then they don't have to fall and you don't have to fucking put the ambulance there?
There was an interesting comment made in the same conversation that I spoke about earlier about the profitability of such a thing, right? So having an ambulance at the bottom of the cliff, because it's still money, because it's easier to treat than to prevent or heal, right? It's easier for someone to kind of get to the bottom of the hill with all the injuries, put them in a hospital, somebody make some money.
Whack a plaster on it.
Yeah, whack a plaster on it, treat them with whatever medicine you're treating, pay some people to look after them. That's economy. A healthy person isn't going to generate that, right? A healthy person just goes about their business. A healthy person
is not profitable.
No, it's not.
So they need fucking unhealthy people so we can keep this whole shit rolling through. It's like we don't actually
economic growth,
yes,
so to speak. Like the GDP. Somebody got paid. Somebody made the money. The stats look good.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But stats can always be fucking teeter-tottered with. Everyone can always fuck with the stats, and it's like, to me, education. Why aren't we teaching like young men and women how to do self-care in school? Why the fuck are we learning algebra? When the fuck are you going to do A2 times 3?
Chemistry.
It's like, it's like some stuff in school is good. It's like, but when are we going to use that? It's like, fuck, learn how to look after yourself first and foremost, because if you can look after yourself, just like in the plane, put your own fucking ear mask on before you put your kid on. Kids one on. It's like, sweet, we'll teach the kids how to look after themselves, so by the time they get old, they can put their own the face mask on, and they can put it on the next person besides them, and they can put it on the other people around them. But same again, it's like, do we really want people to be well? Because then they're not profitable. The government needs to fucking make money, whether it's off fucking fast food, whether it's off fucking going into hospitals. Well, the government needs to fucking keep on printing money. And it gets, printed. Well, it definitely doesn't come from the fucking top fucking 5% of our nation, because they don't even fucking pay tax. But we're still going to blast the people down the bottom that haven't paid their fucking $10,000 tax bills. Like, why are we chasing these people? Why aren't we chasing the ones up the top that owe like, they're spindled around, they should owe like $10 million in tax, but they've worked their way around it and they fucking, they've got a $10 tax bill, or all their businesses ran at a loss
because everything was an expense.
The fucking car, it's all an expense, and they do a very good job. Good on them for working their way around the system, but what about the people? We can't keep on taking off the people at the bottom.
I did see a good quote around there too. It's just like we say, well, when a rich person avoids paying tax, we call them good businessmen.
Yeah,
when
true.
a poor person doesn't pay tax, they're a criminal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, but we're all criminals. Like, fuck, we're all criminals in this fucking... Like, if we're starving, we're all criminals. We're all fucking steal to get food.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter whether you're the CEO or whatever the fuck you are. if food and our things that we need for our survival on this earth get taken away from us, every fucking one of us human beings on this earth will turn into a criminal and take what they need to survive. And maybe it's not going to happen in the best. Maybe it's going to not get taken with fucking people shooting other people up, but they're going to steal it. And I'm sweet with stealing. I'm sweet with all that shit. And this is the only thing. I've got 3 things. It's like, leave women, old people, and children alone. You go fucking do what you want. You sell drugs if you want. Like, no judgment from me. You're just trying to survive. It's like, but as long as we leave those 3 people of our society alone, I mean, men can go sort it out, go outside and fucking have a scrap if you have to. But don't take it out on women, old people, or children. Those people have got nothing to do with this. That's the one fine line I'll draw. If anyone's doing anything on the street and it's, I'll speak up if I need to, but if not against fucking women, children, and old people. It's like, man, what harm are you causing? You're trying to feed your family? Sweet, do what you want.
It's interesting. It's a very, very raw kind of view that you have. I can definitely understand it. I just can also understand how many people won't.
Yeah, heaps of people. Yeah. And that's like I'm not here to fucking make everyone happy, and my opinion's totally different than everyone else's, and it's like, that's sweet. But if you've got a different opinion than me, come talk to me. Don't yell at me, because then maybe you can teach me something and I can learn something more. And that goes back to teach me, learn, listen. Everyone's got a story to tell. And my story and my background of why I have that view will blow, probably won't tell you on here. But, that was actually, fuck it. My mother, bless her soul, she's not here anymore, she did things that society looked upon as like, that's illegal, you're not allowed to do that. Just to feed us kids, so then we could go to school with lunch. And stuff for our survival, our stuff that we needed to survive on this earth. Mum did whatever she could to provide for us kids. Not for status. Mum didn't have a flash car. Mum didn't have a flash house. Didn't own her own house or anything like that. Mum just did it to provide for her children. And maybe that's what's helped shape my view on this, is because if you're just trying to do it for survival and to feed your family and look after the people around you, fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely relate to that, and through my own experience as well. I used to be a very good thief, as a kid, especially. Back in 1998, Russia went through a default. Basically, damn near overnight, the currency became worthless.
Oh shit!
So like all the savings you had, you can't buy shit anymore. Right, so all that money that's in your pocket, gone. And I remember for a very long time, because of that, like, first of all, the savings just kind of became nothing. But, the little savings that you had in the first place, because, Russia was communist like 7 years ago at that point. And then also because of that, a lot of jobs, a lot of employers weren't paying people salaries. They were basically owing people money. It's just like, look, we need to keep this going. Like, we can't shut this down. We need to keep this going. But right now, I've got nothing to pay you with. I need you to bear with me. So, and I remember at the time, I think from memory, my father didn't get paid for close to about, I think it was around 9 months.
Oh, fucking, you still slaved his ass off every day.
And like, yeah, you still go to work, like, they owe you money, but like you still got to do something, because there's nothing else to do. Like, what else are you going to do, like, other than literally going out and robbing people? And a lot of people did do it. Like, Russia was a wild place in the 90s. But yeah, I do remember there was a time when we were really kind of running out of money, and I remember for a long time, it kind of really stuck out to me, because we ate the same shit all the time. There was, like, every day we would buy a loaf of bread, and it was just like real cheap pate. It's a really random thing, but it was cheap. So like we could buy the two together, like you put the pate on the bread, that's going to be us for now. And and we did that for just weeks on end, just the same shit. And I do remember that at a certain point, like, I just kind of had enough of it. I was 7 years old at the time.
Oh
Yeah, and I learned how to steal, and I became very efficient at it too. Like I'd go to markets and just, like I would sweep, especially in winter. You got a puffy jacket on. I'd come back with a whole lot of shit. Like it would be me and my boys. We had a whole system set up. One's a pitcher, one's a catcher. Like one's a lookout, one's on the diversion, and we'd come back. We'd come back to the neighborhood and just kind of split it all up, have little feasts.
Survival though, eh?
But that's it. Yeah, it's just like it's not that we were just like inherently bad kids that just wanted to cause chaos, but you get it how you live. It's all in the game, right?
I'm sick of bread and fucking pate. I'm putting my foot down.
Yeah, and it's there wasn't a lot of food in the first place. Like you are hungry. Yeah.
100%. You'll do anything for food. Quick question for you then. That bread and pate, have you eaten it since then?
Oh yeah, I became quite nostalgic, and when I went back to Russia as an adult, I actually went and bought the exact same shit.
Did you enjoy it? Or
I did. I mean, to me, but I guess I'm quite a sentimental person in that sense, because I came back, I went back to my neighborhood, and the neighborhood got worse. It's gotten worse since the time that I left. So people tell me it's just like it's one of the worst in the city now. But I went there and I sat in the middle of it and just kind of soaked it all up. There were still people I knew, they were so it's not that I was a stranger there that just kind of didn't belong. Like I still felt at home, I still felt like that was my place of power. That was my roots. There was a lot of talk about it. It's just like, yeah, man, people get shot there, people get stabbed there. But I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, I'm soaking it all up. Like I feel good right now. And I went and I got that same meal, and it just kind of brought it back to me, and it kind of made me realize a little something as well at the time is that, I do better now than I did at the time, but at the same time, I felt better at the time. It's an interesting thought to have, because it's kind of it kind of brings this whole more money, more problems kind of mentality where I've worked my ass off to get somewhere, and I've gotten somewhere. I may not be some CEO or anything, but I am a lot better than I was as a kid, from what people could see me becoming as a kid. I think I've turned out pretty well. I've worked hard to do that. But in terms of that, also I just realized that it was just I was really I had a very happy childhood regardless of all the shit that happened during that. I might have been broke, I might have been stealing. I saw a lot of shit at the time. Like I said, 90s were a crazy place. I saw somebody get killed when I was 7 years old. It was just that, it was that kind of time. But at the same time, I look at that time with a lot of fondness. I was a happy kid.
But all these things added color to your story, and where you are now is a testimony to what you persevered through as a child. And that's fucking amazing. This is the stories that I want to hear. I don't want to give a fuck about someone that got spoon-fed and fucking got given a fucking family business. These are the stories from real people that fucking came from nothing. This is the stuff, and I applaud you for choosing a different path, because it's never easy for some people. It's like, fuck, I'll hustle. I can steal food. Why the fuck would I go get an education? Why would I work for money?
It gives you a reality check as well, though. It gives you a reality check in terms of, just what you're working towards as well. It's if I was that happy at the time, and when I came back there, I was actually under a lot of stress. I was I was finishing my studies. I was looking to move into a new field. So I'm in terms of how a lot of people saw it, is just I'm moving on up, I'm stepping up. Things are good, but I'm I didn't feel that way. I'm it doesn't feel good. It feels fucking stressful right now.
Yeah.
That felt good. And that
just
seems
sitting there with your bread and pate, fuck, this is all good.
Yeah, so it kind of gives you a bit of a reality check as to what, what's what. Sure, I do want to achieve something. I want to work towards something. I want to kind of improve my standard of living. I like nice things like everybody else, but at the same time, it can't take precedent over what's going on inside you.
Yeah, and that's
over the love you got, like you said, like that. I think that's what one of the biggest things from my childhood is just. I was in the streets all the time. I had my boys, and that was like the best thing. It's like you said, like like you and your brothers. It was just it's that kind of bond that I'll look back on. That was like the best part of my childhood. Just being in the streets with my boys, just kind of that's what life is about being around other people, about having these interactions and bonds. Like at the end of the day, that's what matters. At the end of the day, that's what I'm gonna remember. Like you always think of this whole like deathbed scenario, like what the fuck are you going to remember? What have you achieved in your life? I'm not going to give a shit about what I've studied and what jobs I had, but I am going to remember these experiences. I'm going to remember the people that I was lucky enough to have in my life. So yeah, like this is how I feel about that. Yeah,
and I guess fucking I can take something, a little nugget out of this then. When I get to the end of my life, and this is what I always think is like, when I do things like this, will I be proud of this? Would I be proud of what I did? And will I be proud of fucking, and I have nothing against money and all that stuff, but would I be proud of getting $1 million? Probably not. I'll probably be proud of fucking the people I spent my time with. Like loving those. So I don't want to get to the end of my life and I always, because we're not here forever. We're only guests to this earth. So it's like, I don't want to lie on my deathbed and be like, fuck, I should have. No one's going to lie on their deathbed and say, I should have worked harder. Because you're going to fucking die anyway. It doesn't fucking matter.
You're not taking the shit
Yeah,
with
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, so why not give all these little things? And then another nugget out of what you were saying is like, because you've started from such a humble beginning, do you have more compassion then for the people with nothing?
Most definitely. You know what it feels like.
Yes.
Yeah. You kind of it's a lot easier to sympathize with people going through these things, than to just say, oh well, it's their mind state. It's their it's because they're lazy. If they tried harder, they would have done better. Just like that's none of this shit matters. Just understand how they're feeling there right now and how how hard it is to get out of that.
Fuck, it's ruthlessly hard. And then I guess that goes back to reinforce sort of what we were talking about before. And it's like, because you understand how the other side lived, or you have lived in the past, then you have more compassion and love to offer to the other side still now.
Exactly. And also I feel the opportunities. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a huge thing for me because, coming from that, like from a lot of my experiences, be it my childhood, be it being an immigrant here as well, because like I don't have these roots and connections and this kind of inherited base. I don't have anyone that can give me shit to set me up in life. I kind of just have to go out and get it on my own. And you really appreciate the opportunities that you get. You still have to work hard for them. You still have to show somebody that you're worth the opportunity. But when you get it, you're like, I appreciate that. And I think I see a lot of people getting opportunities just because they're there, because your dad knew someone that could give you that, rather than giving it to someone that comes from nowhere that has had to work hard to get to that. Like it's the value of giving somebody that isn't given an opportunity.
But the person that isn't given it, like yourself, and you've worked hard for it, and someone's given you an opportunity because they didn't have to take you. There's a million other people. Isn't there so much more loyalty in your body for the person that gave you that opportunity?
Yeah.
So it's like
just you appreciate it so much more. Yeah.
Like I got gifted this job. I can't even be fucked being here. My dad wants me to fucking work. And it's like, fuck. I remember like when I was young, was I 19? My mum got me a job at a makeup factory. And I was like, I don't want to fucking work at a makeup factory, but I got given this opportunity. I was like, no, fuck this. I don't want to fucking do this. Mum made me go to work, and one day she was like, I'm taking your car off you and I'm dropping you off at work. I was like, no, fuck this. I'm not going to work. I fucking hate that job. And it was in a factory, and I was a little shit. Like, I used to punch the fucking clock and wind it back and get out early. But this one day, because I didn't want to do it, and then that wasn't who I was. It wasn't my purpose on this earth. I was driving down Eyre Street in Parnell, that steep road. Mm-hmm. And I opened the door of the car. I was like, I'm not going to work today. I'm fucking getting out of the car. And my mum sped up and was go, fucking get out of the car then. And at like 60 Ks down that road, boom, I jumped out of the car. And then I could hear my dad was fucking, because my dad was a sensitive soul. My dad was like, well, is he okay? He might be dead. And I was hiding in this bush like, fuck, I'm not going to work. And Mum goes, fuck him. Fucking get back in the car. And that was the last day of that job. It's like these opportunities that we can get gifted from our parents, but if we don't give a fuck, we don't give a fuck. You know, it's like, I guess I was such a free spirit. It's like, I'm not here to be a slave. I'm not here to do something for money that doesn't serve my purpose on this earth, because I believe that every individual on this earth has a purpose. And whether we know it or not, we're so disconnected from ourselves, we don't actually know what our purpose is. But if everyone took the time, or we were educated in schools, like, fuck, what is your gift you're here to share? And that might be I'm a musician, and I want to play for people for free, and I want to share my music. It's like, that's your purpose, that's what you're here to do. If everyone was here to do what they were meant to be here to do, rather than chase fucking money, I'm sure the world would be a bit happier. You know, like, fuck, we'd all be like, fuck, I don't earn fuck all, but I'm playing my fucking drums for everyone, and everyone comes around and dances, I'm happy. I don't know where that fucking came from, but it's like, if we could all find our purpose beyond money and beyond status within our society, and it's like, leave school, go to uni, get a job, find a wife, have some kids, white picket fence, dog, cat. Mortgage. And then it's like,
don't forget the mortgage, bro.
But then what they don't tell you about the mortgage is like, sweet, you know, sort of 40 years of more work. It's like, now you're in it. You're on the hamster wheel. Keep on fucking working. Pay your mortgage off faster. And then you get halfway through your mortgage, like, I'm going to buy my fucking second house. And then you fucking jump back on the hamster wheel and start going again. And then it's like, I want more. There's like, but why do you just want to pay off your house and fucking enjoy your life, don't you? I'm going to enjoy my life when I retire at 65 years old. It's like, fuck, how are you going to fucking walk around places at 65 years old? Are you going to be in any shape at 65 years old to enjoy your life? Fuck that. Enjoy it now. And I mean, still go to work and still do all those things to service what you need on this earth. But you've got to remember, you're not a fucking slave. You're not a slave to the money. You've still got to live your life. You've still got to get to the end of life, and you've still got to get in a box.
Yeah. And I mean, it's the balance, isn't it?
100%.
Between providing, between, you know, surviving, obviously serving the needs that you have, and finding that, you know, that meaning, like you said, that purpose, and, you know, creating experience and meaning out of that, while you're still here, while you're still able to, while you're still working. And I guess I've got, you know, like, people that go to work every day, like 40 hours or whatever, how many hours they work a week. It's like, but they for 5 days a week, they don't. What do? You just get up, eat breakfast, go to work, come home, cook dinner, maybe watch the news, scroll on social media. It's like, where did you live through that? Did you go outside on your lunch break and sit out and enjoy the sun or the rain? Did you get up in the morning and fucking, I love swimming, so I'm going to plug that. So I'd, like, if I was working like 40 hours a week or 60 hours a week, I'd get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go for a swim. Because I still need to serve myself before I serve anyone else. But if I haven't been served and my Modi, my life force hasn't been served with what it needs, I'll be a miserable cunt. I'll be an asshole at work, and like, everyone going to cop my fucking wrath because I haven't done anything for myself today. I've just come to work. Make it to the end of the week. It's like, yes, it's Friday. I'm going to get fucking pissed. And then Saturday morning's a bit of a ball ache. And then it's just the same. Everything is for the weekend, for the bomb. Either for the weekend or for when you get enough money to retire. Then I can enjoy it. It's like, you can still enjoy it now with that balance. You know, it's like, disconnected. People are very, very disconnected, and it's fucking sad. Yeah, I mean, it does sound like a bit of a really a race to death, isn't it?
It is.
When you kind of put it bluntly. Yeah.
It's like, fuck, but I want to get to death with heaps of money. And I understand money that can buy you comfort as well, but it's like, but how much are these our wants or our needs? It's like, I need this to survive. But I want the car because Russia's just got a new fucking Ferrari, and I want one of those too, because I want that status. But it's like, do I really need it? Like, fuck, my beat up Corolla's all good. You know, it's like, it still drives. It's like, you know, it's fucking insane. You know, it's like, why do we have to? And that's comparison, comparing ourselves to others. That's the most beautiful thing about children. There's kids that fucking, they don't give a fuck what shoes you got. You know, like, fuck it, you're good, you want to play, you want to go play tickets? Like, yes, let's go. It doesn't matter, there's no status. But then at what age the kids get brainwashed into like, I need to be better than Russia. I'm not going to do this interview with him because then it makes him better than me because this is his one. This should be my podcast. You know, it's like, why are we fucking competing? Why aren't we just, you win Russia, I win, everyone wins, and everyone's fucking happy.
Yeah, I mean, and, you know, I think in that sense as well, like if you put it this way, you know, you've made my podcast better by showing up. You know, like it wouldn't be the same with just me talking, right?
It would be like a radio show.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, like it's just that much better that we can have a conversation and we can share that with the people, you know? Yes. So just, you know, being involved and helping each other out in the long run, it still creates more value in, you know, in society in general, right?
100%. And that's, we've all got something to contribute, you know, whether you believe it or not. And that's like, I fucking talk to heaps of homeless people and fuck, they've got something to contribute to society. Special plug for Aroha on Ponsonby Road. If you ever see her, she sits outside the Hollywood Bakery down the Three Lamps end. If you see that lady and how happy she is, you will always want to stop and talk to her. She's got something to offer this world, and it's always a fucking smile. And I go up, I was like, how can you be so happy? And she's like, because that's what I'm here to do, man. Like, I'm here to enjoy my life. I could just sit here and be like, give me money. Or I could be happy and share love and light. That's not her words, those are mine. But she was like, share joy with people. And I was like, what about when people don't say hello? She was like, that's their problem. Because I'm here to share what I've got. And it's like, fucking the most beautiful lady in the world with nothing. So if you're ever in Ponsonby, anyone, Three Lamps, Hollywood Bakery, she sits outside. Her name's Aroha. She's a fucking beautiful being. And if I drive past, I'll even fucking beep the horn out. She'll yell from the side of the road and stand up. She's epic. You know, it's like these stories that you don't hear, you know, from these people. And it's fucking beautiful. And then to go on from that is, I go for a swim at the wharf in Herne Bay pretty much every day. But I met a lady down there one day and I had like a half an hour conversation with this lady and she was like, it was a very in-depth conversation. Fucking heard her life story. She had 3 kids, blah, 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 blah. The next day I saw her in Ponsonby. And I said hello to her and she looked at me like, who the fuck are you? I was like, oh, yo, we're different out here now. We're different. Like, by the water we're cool, but in Ponsonby we were status. And obviously my status and my bare feet didn't quite fit her picture. It's like, fuck, this is great. How do we change? How do we change from the wharf to here? And man, I remembered you. And if we sit there for half an hour and we fucking stare into each other's souls for half an hour, you fucking remember my face. Don't act like you don't know. But it obviously didn't fit into her world in Ponsonby. And it was like, fuck. It's interesting how people will just change like that when they are taken out of out of their natural habitat, which is Ponsonby having a fucking coffee or whatever you're doing, you know. That's her status, and maybe I lowered her status because I didn't dress like her, or whatever that was. I don't know.
Yeah,
don't know where that came from, but yeah.
No, but I mean, it's interesting you bring that up, you know, because it's almost like the social clout, this social value that some people seek from associating with some people. You see that a lot, you know, like everybody is somebody's best mate. You know, they may not know them from a bar of soap, but just, you know, everybody wants to be known as like, oh yeah, you know, that's my boy. That's, you know, you see that all over social media. I don't want to say anybody's name, but
I was just gonna say Stylebender. You know, I was like, Stylebender, he's my bro.
Okay,
he's my bro.
You said it for me. Yeah,
everyone jumps. I was like, bro, he's my man. Yeah. Look, I've got a photo with him outside. Blah blah blah. It's like, yo, but he's a fucking good man.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, I think a lot of people, you know, don't value that aspect of him. As like if you've ever spoken to him, he's a really nice dude, but everybody kind of just uses him as almost this like showpiece accessory, you know, like you know, that's who I associate with, therefore I'm the man. I'm
tough, or this makes me cooler. But I guess what's beautiful about that human is he does his work. He's a fucking very smart man, but you talk to him, he's an amazing fucking soul. So he's pure. He'll talk to you like a normal person. He doesn't give a fuck what car he drives. He talks to you and treats you like a human being, and we're all the same at the end. So that's a special person that can get to that level, I guess what you say, in society or within the fighting world, and he's still like, I'm still one of you. 2 arms, 2 legs. We're still the same. It doesn't matter what I've got. I'm a human being. You're a human being, and I'll treat you like one. You treat me like one. And fucking, I just, if there could be more style benders in this world that were millionaires, like, fuck, we'd all be sweet. It's like, hey, you talk to everyone you see. If someone says hello, you say hello back. It doesn't matter, who they are or where they come from. It's like, fuck, that's why we've got a fucking mouth, so you can fucking talk to one another. And it's like, I go for runs a lot around Ponsonby. It's like, fuck, they work like 50%. Sometimes you say good morning and you get a fucking blank stare. And it's like, what? And sometimes it plays on me. The other day I did it and I was like, fuck, I feel like flopping my fucking cock out to these people. It's like, you stare at me running down the road because I may look in shape to you. And you stare at me from ages away and I can see your eyes. And then I get to you and I'm like, good morning. And then you're like, and it's like, fuck, is this really? It's like, fuck, I'll expose myself. And you're going to say something now? Like, don't show me your dick? It's like, oh, cool, that's all I needed. Good morning to you too. It's like, that's fucking crazy. How are we that disconnected? We forget that we can talk to strangers. We're not fucking 5 years old. I'm not trying to get the man to jump in my car for a lollipop. It's like, just say hello, good morning. It's like, boom, it's a short, sharp interaction. I'm not going to stop my run and be like, so what do you do for a job, mate? It's like, fuck, good morning. I run on. It's like, it's crazy how people are so tunnel vision and lost in their world or their own reality that they can't fucking do a simple thing like say hello or good morning. I guess that's people are stressed out. Fuck, I've got my mortgage, my 3 kids, I've got to get my 2 sons to footy on Saturday. They play in both other ends of town. My world is fucking harder than yours. It's like, all our worlds are fucking hard, mate. We're human beings.
Well, like I see you out and about doing your thing, and that, we need more people like you as well. Because I see you actually kind of leading by example, so to speak, and it makes a difference. It makes a difference to people like me as well, because I can be quite, an introverted person oftentimes, and I don't go out of my way to kind of engage with people, but it takes someone like you to say what's up, and I'll respond. Because I know I'm welcomed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that I'm pretty sure that's how, you and I kind of interacted in the first place all those years ago, way back when, we used to box together and everything. It was just that. It was just literally kind of, me being the new guy in the place and just going out of your way to say what's up, to engage with me. And then next time I knew, it's like, okay, yeah, we know
We're
each
cool.
other. Yeah, you're like, I know somebody here. I feel welcomed in this environment. So yeah, it's cool, man. And it makes a difference.
It does make a difference, and I guess that's what people forget, because they forget that being acknowledged in this world, whether it's a homeless man, whether it's me running in the morning, whether it's the fucking McDonald's executive, it's like to be acknowledged as a human being it's not hard, but it means a lot to other human beings. It's like, and that's why I sort of do what I do without even knowing. It's like, fuck, I just want to talk to people, find out their stories, and fucking if I've got fucking money in my pocket and you don't have any money, it's like, I've got food at home. Why the fuck won't I just give you some of my money? It's like, what is the $10 going to do for me? Fuck all. But I'll keep the $10 because then hopefully one day I can have 11, then I can have $12 in my pocket, 13, 14. Fuck, who cares? We all die. We all go with nothing. So what's the point of not sharing what the little bits and pieces? And I talk to a lot of people and they're like, yeah, but I feel stink going up to ask someone, oh, do you want some money or do you want some food? And it's like, but why? Well, because all this is like, I'm all good. I'm sweet. I'm happy. And I have homeless people like, the other day I was at the supermarket. It's like, bro, do you want a feed? It's like, I'm all good, bro, but thank you very much. Did I lose anything? Nah. And he was grateful for it, and we moved on. It's like, I don't have to feel stink for offering something to someone else. And I guess, like, fuck, you could probably offer to someone like, I'm not homeless. It's like, oh, fuck. And you can have a laugh at that as well, like, it doesn't fucking matter. But I guess we're disconnected from our nurturing, for being able to nurture one another, not just our kids, but other beings of this earth. And that's one thing that I haven't forgotten. It's like, fuck, I have something to contribute to this world. And if it's not money, it's a fucking bit of energy. It's a hello, it's a good morning. It's like, what are you up to? Or just acknowledging other people. Because imagine walking through this life and never being acknowledged. Imagine how fucking shit it feels like for a homeless person to sit there and be like, I'm fucking starving. Could I please have $1 because I want to get a pie because I'm fucking absolutely starving, and people just walk past and look. To not be acknowledged when you are on the bones of your ass, it must be so hard to ask for something and to just be ignored and not even acknowledged. Like, are you even a human being? Can I see your passport for planet Earth? Not even out here at all. I want to know if you're from this Earth. It's like, what the fuck? It's fucking crazy. And I guess that's why I do what I do and why I want to bring everyone together. And I guess like all these places talk about creating a community. So Les Mills, but it's like, let's create a community where everyone's like, you don't create a community, you're part of a fucking community everywhere you are, everywhere you go. So why don't you just start with yourself and putting yourself in the community and saying hello or whatever you've got to do. And I know it's fucking hard for people that are introverts. It's like, it's fucking awkward. It's like, everything's awkward. Asking a girl out on a first date of your life is fucking awkward. But once you get the first one out, you're like, next one, boom, man, you're hollering at all the girls. It's like, I'm going to go from a law of probability. I asked 10, I'm going to get one keeper. You know, like, fuck, you go. Where all these other things we overcome, but we can't overcome just communicating with a stranger because I'm an introvert. And I accept that there are people that have anxiety around talking to other people, but how do you get over that? And that's the $1 million question. You don't get over that and work through that by keeping quiet.
But it helps having people like yourself. Like I said, from my point of view, because I am one of those introverted people, as weird as it may seem that I'm, I host a podcast and I talk to people, but I'm not the kind of person to go out of my way and just jump into something. But the fact that there are people like yourself that can still make you feel welcome, it makes a difference because it opens that door for me. I no longer have to feel weird about it. I no longer have to feel anxious about engaging with your people as well now. Because you've opened you've opened that door for me. So like, if you welcome me, I'm sure they would too. So it kind of there is a major flow-on effect from that, and it just kind of is spreads out. That's a good thing. You spread love.
I do spread a bit of love, and I guess, because I have no idea what an introvert, so maybe I'm wrong for being like, these new guys say hello, because it could be the most daunting fucking thing in this whole entire world. But you could start off with saying hello to a kid, but it's weird, especially for males, unless there's so many weirdos out there. It's like, say hello to a kid, but the kid will always say hello back. Or even poke its tongue out, fuck, I see kids on the street, and then the kid looks like, what the fuck, this man's fucking crazy. But it's like, that rule, it's like, fuck it, they'll acknowledge you, and the kids will like, or some kids will just look and be like, oh, fuck, he's a weird man. It's like, we're all fucking weird. But we all hide our weirdness. And that's the fucked up thing about the society. It's like, we're all proper fucking weirdos. Because whatever goes on inside our own heads and all the chatter, that shit's fucked up. Even me. Some fucked up shit goes through my head sometimes. It's not like, kill this, just some fucking insane, weird shit. So every other human on this earth goes through the same insane, weirdo shit. And if we could all just acknowledge that we're all fucking weirdos and none of us has got this life sorted out, it's like, oh, fuck, I can be a weirdo and it's okay to be weird because that person over there is weird. That person over there is weird. Imagine being able to listen to the internal dialogue of people while sitting in a cafe. It's be like, we're all fucked. It's like, one thing I know for sure, we're all fucked. It doesn't matter what we've got in this world, But I don't know. I just want everyone to be loved for who they are and their weirdness. Because we all, and I could learn from you being an introvert and by talking to you, and it's like, oh, fuck, it's like, that's weird. Well, I'm fucking weird because I get fucking talk to everyone, and sometimes I don't feel like talking, but I still do it anyway. It's like, And sometimes I do get anxiety around stuff like that. But I probably don't label it with anxiety. It's like, oh, this feels, I fucking really want to do that today. It's like, fucking get in there and do it. Then you do it. It's like, oh, that wasn't that bad, was it? You know? But I guess that's my personality. And then you talked before about being a Russian coming to New Zealand. And it's probably like, being a PI in New Zealand, it's like, and there's big communities of Pacific Islanders here. But then you go to some areas in Auckland, I don't want to name and shame any of those, but you don't feel like a New Zealander in those. It's like, what are you doing in my area? It's like, but I was born here. It's like, it's like, but it's just like, but why are we different? Why are we different for colour or where we come from? It's like, hey, look, 10 fingers, 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, a mouth, ears. It's like, we are the fucking same. I didn't come from Mars. Elon Musk is trying to go there. I don't want to fuck with that shit. It's like, but if we can all be like, we're all the same, but we've all had this sort of conditioning through our lives and that separates us. It's like, but then take your shoes off, show me your 10 toes. It's like, yep, I got 10 toes, you got 10 toes. It's like, we're going to find something that's different. It's like, well, there's nothing really that's different. We're all humans. We go through our own fucked up experience of this earth. Some of us go through it and just cruise, and it's like, oh, this is all good, and it's like pretty much hide under a rock, and everything's sweet, and there's no racism here, and there's no separation, and those poor people should get a job, and this should happen, and this should happen, and they should go out and sort it out themselves. It's like, talk to them, and then maybe you'll be able to find out why they can't sort it out themselves. Go give them a fucking hand up. Go give them fucking $2. Go, do something about it. Don't just tell them how to. Or don't just think in your head what they should be doing. What is that contributing? Go offer them a job. How about that? If you fucking own a company, it's like, you should get a job. It's like, would you like a job? And if they say no, it's like, oh, sweet, you don't want a job. Then you can go back to the narrative like, see, told you, you useless cunt.
Yeah, no, that's on you.
Yeah.
Is this the first podcast you've done?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Because wouldn't really do the talking to the. Nah.
Yeah, no.
I was a bit nervous. Well, I'll be honest now. I was a bit nervous about this. I was like, fuck, what do we do? I fucking talk about it. It's serious. It's like, but I'm not serious, like, I'm a human. I like to have fun.
No, but it's cool, man. I really appreciate you coming through and sharing these ideas. You obviously believe, your beliefs are very strong. And I really respect that. You really live your truth. And, I'm really glad that you came through and spread that positivity here tonight, because, I mean, this is what I was kind of hoping to get, because, like I know you outside of all this. I've known you for a little while, and I've seen a lot of that, and I was hoping that here tonight we'll be able to show that to people. And I feel like we did. I hope we did. I hope that people get to see this, but I really appreciate what you've done for me tonight, man.
Thank you very much, my brother. To anyone out there, like, don't be too afraid to be yourself. That's the only fucking a bit of advice. It's like, we're all fucked up. Let's not fucking pretend we're not, and just be yourself. Step outside of the box that you've created for yourself inside your own head and be fucking free for the rest of your life on this earth. Peace.
One time for your mind.